Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the MitsuTimes podcast. My guest today is Mr. Jeff Ball. He is the owner and driver of a very cool 4G63 Datsun 510. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
It is great to have you on. I know the car was definitely a hit at the shootout here recently, and it looked like you were out there having a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is my second year at the shootout, and it's an amazing experience to be around all those people.
Sure. Well, Jeff, let's hop right into it. What made you choose the Datsun 510 as your platform for this max effort?
It's my only car that I'm able to race. So I don't know if you saw me at the shootout. I'm about 6'10", so I don't fit into a lot of cars. And I built the Datsun 510 as a car to go and take to racing events and do things for fun. And it's been the only car that I've been able to fit into and actually race. So
wow.
I guess it kind of chose me.
Any special modifications to get the seat lower down or anything like that?
It's mounted to the floor. So normally there's like some seat risers and stuff on the floor, like some supports, bolted essentially straight to the floor. And they're stock like 1G Eclipse seats. So they're pretty low profile.
Love it. Well, Jeff, what made you decide to 4G63 swap this thing, and how difficult was it to get it in there?
So this all kind of started back in about 2003. Sitting in front of me right now is the February issue of Sport Compact Car magazine, and they had the Ultimate Street Car Challenge. And in there was a Datsun 510, and I saw it, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want one. And coincidentally, in that exact same issue, they have a 4G63 tuning guide. And at the time, I'd had a couple of DSMs, and I was familiar with the 4G63 platform. And I started kind of exploring options as far as doing like a rear-wheel drive swap. And there happened to be a web forum at the time called Project 0G, where somebody put some 4G63 engines into Starions and Conquests and stuff. So there was a little bit of information out there. But I just figured that, this little 2-liter engine that can make, 300 horsepower without even breaking a sweat would be a blast inside of a car that weighs, 2,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds. So I started exploring that option.
Okay. I love it. Well, as someone who's somewhat familiar with Project 0G, I know a lot of it is talking about, how to route the water coolant system and what transmissions to use. So can you talk us a little bit about the build process and what some of the biggest hurdles were?
As far as the biggest hurdles, to be honest and to be a little bit sad about this, there really weren't any. This was way easier than it should have been. So the 4G63 is sitting on Mighty Max engine mounts, and it's sitting on the stock Datsun 510 crossmember with Datsun 510 engine mounts. It is mounted to a Toyota R154 transmission from like a Mark III Supra. Nice. And there's a gentleman by the name of Bill Hincher, and he actually began casting bell housings to various transmissions, and he makes some adapter plates and stuff now. So for the most part, it was a bolt-in affair.
Wow.
As far as the water neck issue that you're talking about, I know a lot of people have gone to like a front thermostat housing, so similar to like a Miata or something like that, just to save some room like on the firewall. But to be honest, the thermostat housing on a 6-bolt head doesn't stick out much further than the cam angle sensor. And coincidentally, and through other people in the community, we've discovered that the 4G15 thermostat housing outlet fits directly onto the DSM stuff, and it points 90 degrees to the block. So as opposed to the kind of wonky angle that it does in a DSM. So literally, I just put that on there with like a 90-degree like coupler and ran a water pipe to the front. It was very straightforward.
Wow. That's very cool to hear. Well, Jeff, for those that might not know that are listening, max effort involves both autocross and drag racing. You take a little bit of each motorsport skill and you add up the scores. So, how does a car with this short a wheelbase behave, and how does it perform in this max effort when you have to be good at both autocross and drag racing?
So the first thing I'll state is I will not claim to be good at any of this stuff. This is the first car I've ever been able to race. I'm still learning a lot about this. I have had the car on the road for about 8 years now, but I still have a lot to learn. The autocross course this year was pretty tight, and with the surface that they had, the cars were moving around quite a bit, sliding. And my particular setup. The car itself with the short wheelbase and the semi-trailing arm suspension and the way that it cambers and stuff and turns, I actually don't run a rear sway bar to try and get it to actually like lean more as opposed to having a stiffer rear setup. So through those kinds of courses and stuff, it was actually pretty nimble. I don't think I'm a skilled enough driver to do too much more with it, but I was happy with my time in the autocross section. As far as the drag race section, right now the car probably makes 250 horsepower. It doesn't make a ton. And that's because I moved to a smaller turbo. I'm running a FP, one of the 68 HTA V3s.
Okay.
So I might be making 250 to the wheel. But on the drag strip, so this year was my second year ever drag racing at all in this car. I'd never made a single pass. And last year I learned that a prepped surface is pretty amazing. So this year I was a little bit more bold with my launches, and I shaved basically a full second off my time from last year, basically with the exact same setup. And I ran about a 13.6, I think, or 13.5 in the quarter, which I think is fairly respectful for what the car is.
Absolutely.
So I was very pleased with my overall times.
So, Jeff, a lot of times on here we have drag racers, and then on another episode we'll have autocross guys or circuit racing guys. And one thing they talk about is how important suspension setup is. I'm curious as to what kind of suspension this Datsun has and how you tweak it to handle, kind of be the best of both worlds.
So once again, I won't claim it to be the best at anything. So I'm using mostly off the shelf, well, almost entirely off the shelf parts. The only, I guess, secret sauce, I guess I could say that it has in it is, I used to live in Las Vegas, and a friend of mine, Eladio Rodriguez, he actually works for BMW in their racing series, tuning their suspensions. And down in Las Vegas, they call him Dr. E.
Nice.
And he essentially aligned and corner weighted the car to do what it does. So I have the suspension settings and stuff, but I honestly don't know what all he does. I just know that he does it well, and the car seems to work.
Good. Nice. So, Jeff, would you say that the car is tuned more for the power or the handling? I know you said it's right at 250, but in a car probably as light as a 510, 250 is probably quite a bit.
Yeah, so it is mostly set up to do autocross events. I am getting a little bit more into road racing and road course events. I do have an event coming up October 11th that I hope to compete in here in Tennessee. So it is set up more for tighter courses and things like that. The car previously actually did have a larger turbo on it. It had a kind of old school Garrett hybrid turbo on there. And I was making about 345 to the tire, which is pretty scary in this car. So the car does weigh about 2,300 pounds, which some people actually find that that's a little bit heavy, and it is. But it only has a 205 width tire, and of course it's only going through the two rear tires.
Right.
And I found that at the 345 mark that I had it at, that even rolling into it in third gear, the back end would move around just coming onto the highway. So I felt that I needed, like, for my own skill level and my own sanity, a smaller turbo, a little bit more response, and just learn how to drive the car before I try to give it some more power.
Very nice. Well, Jeff, I know it's hard to beat taking home a win in any category at the shootout, but what would you say has been your proudest moment behind the wheel of this car so far?
So that was a big moment for me. Honestly, I can't even nail down a single like proudest moment in the car. I've done a lot of things. It's taken me to a lot of places. Going to events like the shootout with the car, like I get to meet amazing people and interact with so many people from the community. So I would just say overall, just having the car and the attention that it gets has been a beneficial to me to be able to meet some of the people who've come and talked to me, because I'm a little bit introverted, so I don't always reach out to others. So just going on road trips and driving across the country in the car and meeting people at events, car shows, whatever it may be, I just think is it's so much fun.
Yeah. Good. This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Turbo Parts Canada. At Turbo Parts Canada, they thrive on providing you with solutions for all your turbocharger needs. They have many engineering capabilities to ensure precise clearances are met and quality is achieved every time. All their performance turbos are machined, assembled, and balanced in Canada. They also offer manufacturing and upgrades for most OEM and performance turbos. They also offer CNC porting, rotor balancing, and media blasting. Find out more about their products and services at turbopartscanada.ca. Well, Jeff, how do you prepare once you get to an event? Do you have like a pre-race routine or something that you do before you start doing the hot laps?
Yeah, so I kind of have a routine. So I have, I call it like a go bag. Basically, it's just a tote that has all the necessities and stuff that you might need for an event. Because you always forget something. So I put everything in there. So hopefully I don't forget anything. I usually check my tire pressures to make sure they're where they need to be for whatever it is that I'm running. When I get into the car, I always put my helmet on first, seatbelt second, gloves third. And then before making any run, there's a phrase or a set of phrases that I tell myself and I tell other people when they're driving. And that is be safe, have fun, and go fast. So that's kind of my routine.
Well, Jeff, how would you say that the racing community outside of the DSM Evo family has responded to this setup? Obviously the 510 is a very popular race car all over the world for what it's worth, but whenever you pop the hood and people see, wow, a 4G63, that must get some crazy reactions.
Yeah, it does get quite a bit of reactions. It's a curiosity to most people. Again, the cars, it's over 50 years old at this point in time, so a lot of people don't see them unless they are in like vintage races or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the car, for the most part, is rust-free, and in certain parts of the country, so even at like the shootout, that would be part of the rust belt, and people haven't seen a 50-year-old car in forever. Right. So just seeing it is it's its own spectacle. And then popping the hood and seeing what's under there, and the people who understand what the 4G63 is and what it can do, not only are they, happy to see that in most cases, but a lot of people are like, hey, like, I bet that thing really scoots. So it's really great to interact with people, and I'm glad that the car itself gets attention, and people, to be honest, it brings smiles to people's faces, and that's what I really love about it.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, even though I kind of know already, I want you to tell us how the DSM Evo community think about this car. It seems to be quite a popular, quite a attraction.
Yeah, so mostly what I would call the DSM and Evo community I've met at the shootout. Again, those communities, they're dying off a little bit, unfortunately. But a great group shows up to the shootout, and everybody loves it. A lot of people have seen some type of rear-wheel drive swap with the 4G63, but I get a lot of compliments on my approach to it and just how simplistic it is. So everybody's rooting for it because, again, that community loves that engine, and I love the engine. And what it can do with the car it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Jeff, the big question is, what's next for the 510? Do you have any upgrades? You want to go back to a bigger turbo, or is there any other changes that you have planned?
I have so many changes planned. So this is what I would call version 1 of the car. I think I've kind of reached the end of what I can do with the current setup, beyond adding a little bit of horsepower to it. So maybe turning up the boost a little bit, but that turbo should be plenty for probably close to 400 horsepower, which is kind of what I built the car for, all the components in there. That's kind of my goal is that I should be able to make 400 horsepower without breaking anything. So beyond that, my next goal is to get more tires under it. So again, it only runs a 205 width tire, and I'd love to do a 245. But in order to do that, I need to start cutting metal and fabricating fender flares and things like that. So that's kind of the next logical iteration, is a little bit more power and wider tires.
Okay.
Dreaming bigger, sitting in my garage right now, is the full suspension to like a Toyota 86, like a FRS BRZ kind of thing.
Okay.
And I'm kind of looking at using some of the Subaru geometry and things, and how they've set up their arms and things, to replace the semi-trailing arm suspension in the rear, and to do something a little bit more straightforward in the front end. Because there's some weird stuff. Again, the car's 50 years old, so it's got 50-year-old technology, and I have updated it with, let's call it mid-80s technology. But beyond that, like, suspension technology has come a long way over that time, and I'd love to take advantage of some of those things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, Jeff, you kind of hinted at it already, but do you see yourself sticking with autocross, or do you want to go on to circuit racing or something like that?
Honestly, I want to do it all. Like, it's just going to these events and meeting the people there, and just learning from people is an awesome thing. So autocross to me is probably the most accessible thing, both price-wise, location, how often they hold events, the amount of seat time you get, etc. Drag racing really isn't too appealing to me. It is really great to kind of test your car to see what it can do in a straight line. But to me, I think a lot of that can also be accomplished on a nice straightaway on a road course, which is also kind of like my next goal, is to do some more of that kind of thing, and really see what I can do. And living out here in Tennessee, there's quite a few tracks within a few hours of me. The National Corvette Museum is about 45 minutes from me, and I'd love to go out there and do something there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great track too. Well, Jeff, let's say tomorrow you hit the Tennessee lottery. What are you doing to the car? What's the final version of this car look like if money's not an issue?
I'm definitely going to sell it and probably crush it. No, I'm totally kidding. This is kind of one of those forever cars. I might part with it at some point in time, but I can't see myself getting rid of it. Again, if money and time wasn't an issue, I'd really like to develop some custom things for it. Basically, the car is a hodgepodge of junkyard parts and a couple of aftermarket parts that bolt on, and there's very little fabrication involved. And I would love to get into some fabrication and do some really cool things. And of course, make a car that I actually fit into. So those would kind of be my goals. But to be honest, I'm just happy going through the process. I don't need a whole lot of money or anything like that to do the things that I want to, although that would be fantastic. I'm just happy to have the time and the energy and the ability to build a toy, for lack of a better word, and enjoy what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jeff, the max effort class, class at the shootout, I guess would be the right word for it. It's very popular, and it seems to be, have its up years and down years. So if I'm listening right now, I'm interested in getting into the max effort class. What advice would you give me, if coming from a place where I've never done autocross and maybe I have very limited drag racing experience?
Just go and do it. That's really how we learn things, is by doing things. For autocrossing specifically, show up to your local events. They're usually very inexpensive. The people that show up there are people who've been going there forever, and there's so much knowledge from the people that are there. Everybody's approachable, doing ride-alongs, having people ride with you and give you feedback. Just the communities that are involved in these racing events is beyond like anything you can imagine until you're actually involved in it. So I say show up to an event, even if you're not driving or racing. Show up and see if you can get a ride along. Go out there and watch, talk to the people, learn as much as you can. But nothing beats actually just going out there and driving it. And especially in autocross and some of these events, as long as your car isn't leaking a bunch of fluid, as long as it's like mechanically like stable, just go and drive it. It doesn't have to be a fast car. I've seen some really, really, really slow cars out there, and people who have never done any of these things, and they drive really, really slowly, but they're out there. They're out there enjoying it. They're having fun. They're learning things. They're testing themselves in their cars, and just get involved.
Yep. Love that. Not enough people are out there doing autocross, even though it's, the like you said, the cheapest, probably grassroots style motorsport you can get into.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. So I started off in Las Vegas, and that's where I really got into it because I had several friends who were pretty diehard into autocross. And then when I moved out here to Tennessee, I've met so many people just showing up to events. So it's a great place to meet people, to meet friends, and obviously to learn about what you do.
Well, Jeff, where can people find and follow you on social media so they can see some more of this 4G63 510?
So I'm not sure anybody's actually interested in following me personally, but on Instagram, it's JeffreyBall610. However, the car itself has its own hashtag, which is hashtag 4G63510, which I think is as straightforward as I can make it.
All right. You have to search that hashtag and see all the cool pictures. All right, Jeff, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who has helped them along the way, anybody who's helped get their car together. Is there anybody that you would like to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Several people who've helped with the car. So first off, Trevor at TrevTech in Las Vegas. He helped me actually assemble the motor. He stored my vehicle for quite a few months when I was moving from like an apartment into a house. He's just been a really great friend of mine. Also in Las Vegas, Eladio Rodriguez, again, they call him Dr. E. He does by appointment only suspension setups. And he quite literally is a doctor of suspension. Like, he's an amazing person. Beyond that, I want to thank the DSM and 4G63 and just the car community in general. Again, nothing beats showing up to one of these events, even if you don't have a car. If you just have the interest, just show up and just meet some people, shake some hands, go and hang out with people and learn more about this stuff if you're interested in it.
Perfect. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and tell your story and tell the story of your 510. I can't wait to see more of it in action, and I hope that you get out and try some more tracks, like you were saying. The National Corvette Museum has a great track, and definitely get the word out there that this thing is out there and it's super cool.
All right, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Of course. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.